Hello, Mr. Hooper here. Just wanted to run through some solving equations practice. I see there's 4 steps up there. I would tell you the biggest thing is you could draw train tracks. All right, train tracks, TT. That's what you see a lot of people did that. Remember what you do to one side. So what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So number 2 here, I'm going to add 10 to both sides. One thing to get in the habit of is circling. 10 minus 10 is 0. So that leaves me with P. 2 plus 10 equals 12. And so that's how I try to remember it. Is a lot of those things where you're using your opposites here. So here, undo. Sorry about that. So just try to make sure that you are able to do the opposite of adding is subtracting. So minus, minus. All right, here's my little circle again. And if you wanted to draw some train tracks, you could. Now, x is by itself because 0. 14 minus 8 is 6. And then you can put that equals back in. So x equals 6. Now, the other ones are multi-step. So the opposite of adding 10, subtract 10, subtract 10. If you want, you can circle that there. But I would tell you 50 minus 10 is 40. That still equals, now notice I bring the 2x down. So you actually start, so I would group addition and subtraction together. Then I would group multiplication or division together. And then you just got to make sure you go step by step. So I just divide by 2 here, divide by 2, x equals 20. If I were doing here, I'd minus 12, circle that. 20 minus 12 is 8, and I'd bring the 4a down and keep it the same. Now we're doing division, the opposite of dividing. Now notice 4 divided by 4 is 1. So I usually scribble this out. So I have 1a equals, and dividing by 4, that's going to be 2. A equals 2. If I do this last one here, notice that you're subtracting x on each side. So that's the biggest step that most people forget. 3x minus 1x is 2x. So 2x plus 7 equals 21. So by getting x alone over here and 2x, now we just solve the rest of it the same way. Minus 7. Minus 7, because you can see 7 minus 7 in green here goes to 0. So I just have that 2x equals 14 on the one side. I divide by 2, and x is 7. So you have to figure out how you're going to remember this. I would tell you that 10 is bigger than 2. So if I subtract 2y from both sides and subtract 2y, I'm left with a positive 8y. I will, in math and geometry, do both steps here, plus 20, because I'm a strong enough student to know 20 minus 20 is 0. So 60 plus 20 is 80. Now, once you have that y and that variable by itself, then you can divide by 8, y equals 10. If we go, so we have a couple things we need to talk about on the back. Notice this is a -1. So there's no symbol in the middle here. So that means multiplication, so we divide by a -1. Now when we do that, this becomes a +1. So we have 1b equals a positive 10. Well, 1b is really just b equals 10. So that's how I think of it. If I were to do this one, I got to get the variable by itself. Minus 2. So I'd have x over 3 equals 2. Now the opposite, now over here, if I wanted to, I could write times 3 there, times 3. Because here's what happens. When you have 3 divided by 3, that goes to that 1x, or that one thing that we talked about. 2 times 3 is 6. So 1x equals 6, or x equals 6. And so the opposite of this division here, this x divided by 3, was actually the opposite of dividing was multiplying. So you can see that we did that. This is where we multiplied. The opposite of dividing is multiplication. So you can see that down here again. If I have 5 over 6x equals 10, the opposite of dividing is multiplying by 6. So if I write multiply by 6 on each side, 6's go to 1. Well, 1 times 5 is 5x equals 60. Okay, and so by writing in red times 6, you should see I did it to both sides. Now we're left with a 5 still. So then I would encourage you to divide by 5 because that becomes that 1. So now 1x equals 60 divided by 5 is actually 12 in a calculator. And that's x equals 12. So we did a couple things with solving equations there, but you guys should be much, much better. Thanks for listening. Good luck.